Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Okay, good evening. evening. Welcome to the January 13th, 2025 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. As the hour is 6 o'clock, I'm calling the meeting to order. First order of business is to hopefully go into non-public for the next hour. And to that end, I would entertain a motion to enter into non-public under RSA 91A 32A and L.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Selectman Chartrand?
Aye.
Selectwoman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectwoman Belanger? Aye. And clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Board will be going into non-public. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Hello, my name is Nico Papakostandis, and I'm the chair of the Exeter Select Board. In an effort to promote civic engagement and volunteer work on our boards and committees, Exeter TV will be showing a series of short videos highlighting all of our boards and commissions. You will hear from each respective boards and commissions chairs. Civic engagement and volunteer work is an excellent opportunity for folks to not only contribute to important decisions that are made for the town, but it's also a way to learn how the town and its government work. I would invite you to watch each of these videos, as well as go onto the town website, where you will find pages for each of our boards and committees. In those pages, you'll see the board and committee mission statement and their charge, as well as minutes of their meetings and videos of their prior meetings. I would encourage you to look at all of the openings that we currently have, which you will find also on the website. Additionally, once you find a board and committee that you'd like to serve on, there's an application online that you fill out, and it goes to the town manager's office, who will schedule an appointment for you to come before the select board. Other than elected positions, the select board does appoint all volunteers to boards and commissions. In closing, civic engagement and volunteer work are not only what make our government successful here in Exeter, but are what make our community thrive as it does. We look forward to seeing new people apply for positions on the boards and committees, and on behalf of the Select Board, we look forward to meeting you, interviewing you, and appointing you to a board and commission where you think you'll make a difference for our town. And also on behalf of the Select Board, we want to thank those who have served presently and in the past for their important work that they've done for our community. In closing, should you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the chair of the respective board and committee that you wish to apply for, or certainly reach out to me or any of the select board members, as well as the town manager. Thank you for your consideration. We look forward to hearing from you.
Have you ever been interested in building projects in town? My name is Amanda Kelly, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Facilities Advisory Committee. We are a group of 5 core members and 2 alternates who meet once or twice a month to advise the Select Board and Town Administration on new building projects and renovations in town. I personally am interested in the Facilities Advisory Committee for my ability to work on accessibility in projects in town, and other members include architects and facilities managers who have different areas of specialization. Anyone with a background in construction or those types of projects would be great for our committee, and we would welcome you to join.
Hi, my name is Chris Weeks. I'm the chair of the Facility Advisory Committee. And as Amanda mentioned, we are a team of 5. We currently have 4 core members and are looking for at least another core member and 2 alternates as well. Just to get a little more detail on some of the projects we've worked on in town is we've worked with the town and the select board on the public safety complex feasibility study. We've worked with them on the recreation center acquisitions and building proposals prior to that. We also are working on a facility condition assessment, which will help the town actively manage their buildings going forward, and hopefully give the town administration a lot of good information that they can use to make financial decisions about the buildings in town. And with that, I would just say please feel free to volunteer and put in your application for the board. Thank you.
If you're interested in learning more or applying to serve on a town board or committee, you can visit the town website for more information, or you can contact Pam McElroy in the town manager's office. She can be reached via email or by calling 603-773-6102. Thank you for watching this video.
Are you passionate about the environment, land conservation, or our natural resources? The Exeter Conservation Commission is a great volunteer board to get involved in. They meet on the second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. And we currently have 3 alternate positions available. The Conservation Commission is responsible for reviewing development plans for impacts to wetlands and wetland buffers. They manage over 2,500 acres of conservation land, oversee a very large and diverse trail network throughout town, and they also host recreation and conservation events throughout the calendar year. We do ask that if you're volunteering for our boards, that you commit to at least the monthly meetings. Beyond those meetings, there are a number of ways to get involved, and that's really based on your interest and your available time. If you're interested in natural resource protection, consider joining the Conservation Commission. It's a really fun board. They're very engaged. It's a great group of people. So if you have any questions about what the Conservation Commission does or areas that they work on, feel free to reach out to me. I'm Kristen Murphy, the Conservation and Sustainability Planner, and I provide staff support to the Conservation Commission. I can be reached by email at kmurphy@exeternh.gov or by phone at 603-418-6452. Thanks a lot, and we hope to see you on our board.
If you're interested in learning more or applying to serve on a town board or committee, you can visit the town website for more information, or you can contact Pam McElroy in the town manager's office. She can be reached via email or by calling 603-773-6102. Thank you for watching this video.
Have you been thinking about getting more involved in the community and volunteering for the town of Exeter, but you're not quite sure where your skill sets best fit or if you have the time to do that? Well, I'm Chris Suter, and I am a volunteer on the Human Services Funding Committee. What we do is we meet towards the end of the summer and a few times in the fall, and we go over the applications from the various human services, the social service agencies in the community that ask for some support from the town. We're a small group. There's 3 of us currently. We have room for 2 more. And what we do is very simple. We sit down, we split up our list of applications, we review them, we work very closely with the town staff who works frequently with these agencies, and we come up with recommendations for the Budget Review Committee, our proposal. If you're wondering about some of these social service agencies that we review, you may be familiar with some of them, as some of them are very local, such as St. Vincent de Paul, the Community Children's Fund, Meals on Wheels. But there's a lot of other agencies that, if they're not in Exeter, they are in the Seacoast or within the state of New Hampshire, and they also provide a lot of services to our residents in need, from the youngest to the oldest. And it's really gratifying to see how the agencies work together, they work with the town, and I'm really happy to be a part of the group that gets to review these applications, and it's a good feeling, and it doesn't require a lot of commitment. We're looking for someone who can simply be objective and has a few hours to come to a couple meetings and to review some applications. We work with great agencies. It's one of the reasons why I like volunteering, because I get to help be a part of possibly helping these agencies that help our most vulnerable residents. I work with wonderful people. We're a fabulous little group. And it's a really quick, easy, and gratifying way to give back to your community. So if you'd like to get more involved, if you're interested, you have some questions, please reach out, and we'd love to talk to you.
If you're interested in learning more or applying to serve on a town board or committee, you can visit the town website for more information. Or you can contact Pam McElroy in the town manager's office. She can be reached via email or by calling 603-773-6102. Thank you for watching this video.
Are you passionate about lessening your carbon footprint? Are you passionate about reducing the amount of waste that goes to landfill? Did you want to encourage people to compost more, to recycle, to stop using plastic water bottles? If you're passionate at all about anything to do with environment, about the climate issues, about sustainability, then please come and become a member on our committee, the Sustainability Advisory Committee. I am currently the chair of the Sustainability Advisory Committee, Chetna Palmer. So if you have any questions or want any more further information, then please contact me, or you're welcome to look on the town website. There is a sustainability tab, which will show you the sort of the charge that the committee has, along with some of the action items that we are working on at the moment. We are working on looking at putting a policy in place on single-use plastic for the town, and obviously it's still in its early days in discussions, so get involved if you want to on that. We work with DPW and other departments and have worked on the composting that is available to residents free of charge at the transfer station, and also looking with DPW's efforts on getting textiles out of landfill with the help.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, We invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Thank you for
Hello,
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
He stopped by.
Okay. Yeah, Levi was my guy. And thank you. I appreciate you sending me the quotes.
Is everybody ready? Good evening once again, and welcome back to the Town of Exeter Select Board meeting of Monday, January 13th. I apologize for the tardiness of our return. The board has been in non-public for a little over an hour, but we are here and ready to start our public meeting. So, good evening, Exeter. Good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, those in attendance, and certainly those watching at home. I'd like to start by introducing our board. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
And to my left is our clerk, Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening.
Selectwoman Nancy Belanger. Good evening.
Good evening,
Our
everyone.
Town Manager, Russ Dean. Good evening. Our Assistant Town Managers here as well, Melissa Roy. Good evening. Our Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel. Hello, Joanna. And my name is Nico Papakostendis. Mr. Dean, are these new microphones?
I'm not sure if they're new.
Oh, they seem to be working very well tonight. First order of business this evening is to take up the 2025 Chemical Bid Award. We opened the bids last Monday. I believe there were 8 or 9 bids. And the Public Works Department, Steve Dalton, the Water and Sewer Department, has made a recommendation. I think we've had an opportunity to review the recommendation in the packet. Are there any questions or comments from the board? If not, Mr. Dean, I'd like to roll this all into one motion, if I may.
Sounds good, Mr. Chair.
I would entertain a motion to award bid item number 1, which is the sodium hypochlorite 15% solution, to Univar Solutions in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, at $2.0310 per gallon. To award bid item number 2, which is activated carbon, to Carbon Activated Corporation in Compton, California, at $1.3500 per pound. To award bid item number 3, potassium permanganate, which is potassium permanganate, to Shannon Chemical Corporation in Melbourne, Pennsylvania, at $2.3300 per pound. And finally, to award bid item number 4, which is sodium hydroxide, to Borden and Remington, located in Fall River, Massachusetts, at $1.4510 per gallon.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next on our agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to give comment to the Select Board. There's nobody online that I can see. Let me just verify that. No one online. No public comment here, so we'll close that. Next is the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of January 6, 2025. I'd ask the board if there are any amendments or revisions to the minutes. Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board regular meeting minutes of January 6, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We'll jump into our discussion items. Mr. Dean, I'll turn it over to you to discuss the 3 collective bargaining cost items.
Okay. So we have reached agreement with 3 of our unions, and we have actually a ratification vote scheduled tomorrow with one of them. The law requires us to disclose the cost items associated with each agreement, so there's a memo in your packet that talks about this. And the first one is the SEIU Local 1984 in Town of Exeter. It's a 3-year agreement that we've reached with the union, and the cost items are identified in the packet. And the first year cost for that particular agreement is $138,519. And that represents the amount of money that is needed to fund the first year of the agreement over and above the current wages and benefits at the current staffing levels. So that is the SEIU agreement. The Exeter Police Association and the Town of Exeter, the Police Association, are represented by the Teamsters. This is also a 3-year collective bargaining agreement between.
Can I stop you for just a second?
Absolutely.
So this is back to the SEIU. This is for both the general and the water sewer. So this is for the water and sewer department as well as the other public works.
Yeah. So the
And
general.
also some others. Can you just explain that real quick?
Sure, I can.
Thanks.
The general fund, there are water and sewer employees that are part of this bargaining unit, so there are costs allocated to the water sewer funds and the general fund. The general fund amount of the $138,519 is $70,451. That's the general fund amount, and the water sewer fund $68,068. So,
Any questions before we move on to police? Okay, thank you.
okay, so the police first-year cost is $133,009. That's $133,009. And that is also a 3-year agreement between the town and the police association. I will note that the police association is voting tomorrow to ratify. We did check with legal, and they indicated that that order of operations was okay. So that is what is happening tomorrow with police. And then the third collective bargaining agreement is between the Exeter Professional Firefighters Association Local 3491 and the town. And that first year of the 3-year collective bargaining agreement amount is $158,248. So that is how much we would be requesting be appropriated to fully fund that contract in the first year. Then you can see the second year cost $207,857 and the third year cost $124,297.
So FY26 for all 3 collective bargaining agreements present the significant increase.
A
of the
full
3
year
years.
funding, yes, as opposed to 6 months.
Can you explain the difference between FY26 and 27?
I would actually like to ask the finance director to come up and speak to that.
Sure. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So in the first year of the contracts, generally, we've front-loaded increases to get them up to market. So the first year being from July to December, and then January to June. What you're seeing in the second year is the second half of that front-loading from the first year, plus the cost of the second year in the escalators attributable to year 2. So in year 3, you're dropping down to, I think, a 4% on average increase. So that's why it kind of rises and then falls.
Thank you for that.
Everyone clear on that? Okay. And Mr. Dean, are we moving away from staggering? I know these all appear to be 3 years, so we'll be doing this again for all 3?
We will be. We had conversations in the collective bargaining process with the unions about the length of the contract, but it seemed to be that the prevailing ask out there and the negotiating point was a 3-year agreement, so we will be on cycle again after 3 years.
Okay. And these increases reflect just the general market right now of all 3, police, fire, public works, trying to keep our wages in line with similar towns in New Hampshire, and also knowing that the Massachusetts border is not too far away, and ensuring that our employees aren't poached.
Definitely. We've made some wage adjustment recommendations in the first year of these contracts to bring our wage rates up, that to make them more competitive with our neighbors for the purposes of retention, for sure.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
No.
I will say that in reviewing the documentation and also with my conversations with you, Mr. Dean, and with Ms. Roy and Mr. Stevens, I think that I can honestly say that though some of these years are expensive, I think that when you look at what the market rate is right now in this area and around the region, I think that these agreements are fair for both sides. I think they're fair for our employees, and I think that they're fair to bring back to the taxpayers to consider.
And I agree, and we agree with that from the bargaining team perspective.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Stevens. Moving on, we're going to have a TIF update. I see Mr. Wyndham here. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. This is, as you said, an update from the last time I was here. I thought what I would do is, I don't want to take too much of your time, I just thought I'd go through the items that we're actually seeking to pay for with the TIF. Does that make the most sense?
Sure.
Okay. So, as we know that the Epping Road is being widened and that project is underway, but we needed to finish that off. And so there's 3 different uses for this amended TIF. Number one is, and all these costs are estimated. In order to provide full access to some of the most important developable property within the tax financing district, it is necessary to construct road improvements, likely a center lane and sidewalk on Epping Road between Continental Drive and Cronin Road. I'll slow down. This project is currently underway and seeks to be complete in the summer of 2025, and the estimated cost is $800,000. The second thing we'd like to do, Industrial Drive was last paved in 2011, and Commerce Way was last paved in 2006. With the industrial, commercial, and even recreational traffic this corridor sees, because there's a lot of trails out there, and that's where people park. It is necessary to pave these roads. Department of Public Works expects to pave these roads in the summer of 2025, and the estimated cost for that is $180,000. And the last thing we seek to do, there's a section of water pipe on Epping Road that's 8 inches, while all other remaining water piping in this area is 12 inches. In order to ensure the highest water pressure is being delivered to corridor businesses, enlarging water and possibly sewer lines south of the Continental Drive Epping Road traffic light is necessary. Using an average of $500 per foot for engineering and construction, the roughly 1,700 feet of water main to be replaced would be $850,000 estimated at. So those are the items that we are seeking to invest in with our amended TIF.
Mr. Chartrand.
So previously, in our meetings in December and our meeting in January, there were 2 projects. Which 2 of these 3 were proposed previously?
All 3 of them were, when I proposed 4, actually, but we're not going to do the 4th. But these 3 were in the one that I presented.
I'm recalling 2. One for the water, and then one for the pave, and then the infrastructure improvement. Has that been added?
No, Dan, that was, that's the piece that we didn't have enough money with our TIF, our amended TIF in 2020. And so this is just finishing what the work you've seen done out there by Exit 9.
Okay.
This is finishing off. It'll take about $800,000 more to finish it. That's what we think.
So the first one does not require approval from the voters, or yes?
They all do. Everything in there. That was already approved previously, and we allocated $1 million towards it. We thought $900,000 would do it, and that was 2020. Okay. That was the amended TIF in 2020. And then what happened is the world ended, basically.
Right.
And so we just didn't build that. And so now we're coming, and then we went to start this year. We realized we didn't have enough money there. And so we knew we had to amend the TIF for that reason.
Okay.
And then there's other 2 improvements. We, really quickly, we have a couple businesses on Continental Drive that need more pressure for their fire systems. And the tower, as I understand it, is 12. The pipe in the tower, our water tower, is 12, and then it comes out to Epping Road at 12, and then gets reduced to 8 until it gets to Continental Drive, and everything else is 12. And so we think that's the issue we're having with the pressure. So
it was always the plan to have these 3 projects?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm not remembering correctly, I guess. And these are all within the scope of what we have previously done with TIF money. So the voters have to approve this extension and these projects.
Yeah, they're all infrastructure.
But they'll be paid for with the TIF dollars that we already have set aside.
Yes, it will not be for no more borrowing of any more money for it. It'll be, Russ actually wrote the financing plan, which I think is in your packet.
Yep.
And it states that the estimated cost we paid over out of TIF proceeds.
Thanks.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do. One of them, well, just to go back to what Dan said, the December 23rd memo, it does not include $850,000 for the water and sewer lines?
Not the price. It was, in the memo, I didn't know the numbers at that time.
Okay.
I
I
just
just-
yeah, I
But
just said what they
I think
were.
that's where
Okay.
it might have, because
Thank
there
you,
were only
Selectwoman
two. You're welcome.
Belanger. That may be,
Probably
that may be
accurate, yeah.
my not remembering.
Yes, so you did have it.
Yeah.
You said these are just estimated costs. Can you tell us how you came up
Oh, I
with
didn't
these
quote any of them.
estimations? Well, how were they determined?
DPW estimated them, and I don't know if they used, I assume, I mean, Russ, you might know better than me, I don't really know. I think Steve Dalton, the figures you see on the water, I believe that was Steve Dalton that came up with that number. And of course, DPW uses, different contractors and what have you, so.
It doesn't say anything about where the numbers come from.
So it would be like a price per linear foot of installing water lines to meet this specification in
So,
Epping Road.
as of today, we're pretty confident that we're not going to have to come back and say, still not enough money. I mean, is that a premature question? I understand what happened with COVID, but
We're relying on DPW's numbers. DPW has good numbers, and we can stick by them as far as being part of this financing plan, yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for the
That's it
question.
for me.
I appreciate that.
Questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Wyndham or Mr. Dean? Or Mr. Stevens? No? Okay, great. Thank
guys
you.
very much, appreciate it.
And then, Mr. Dean, is there something else on the TIF before we move on?
Yes, just in your packet is the form of a warrant article. That would be included on the town warrant to approve the financing plan, which includes the use of the proceeds from the TIF.
And where is that?
It is at the end of the,
TIF
should be at the end of the
It's on the
TIF
back of
update.
Exhibit A, financing plan. It's on the back of that sheet. Quick question, Mr. Chair, if I may?
Please, while I try to make sense of this again.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This proposed TIF amendment, that was not included in the draft warrant that we were given?
That's correct. It's not in the warrant because you were just deliberating on the TIF
Got it.
tonight.
Got it.
And then if all is okay, we would move it ahead into the warrant for next week.
And obviously, there would be more detail.
Right, that's why I'm confused. That's, we're asking the same question.
Yeah.
What kind of more detail in terms of the actual project?
Like
The
this.
chapter and verse of the dollars.
Yeah.
We can include that, yes.
Don't we usually?
We would include, it depends on the kind of articles that we need to include, but the last one in 2020 just had the financing plan amendment.
I think the more detail we can give the voters.
I completely agree.
Okay? We'll do that then.
Transparency is always an awesome tool.
Today's Monday. Would you circulate that revised warrant article to the board prior to Tuesday?
Yes.
So that if the board has any questions or revisions or suggestions, that they can reply to you only?
Okay.
So that we're not just showing up Tuesday and there it is and we don't like it.
Okay.
Is that,
That
we
would
good
be
with
helpful.
that?
Yeah.
I'll make that a priority.
Thank you. All right. Anything else for Mr. Wyndham? All right. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Please.
There's a legal notice of public hearing in our packet as well.
I believe I need to read that tonight, Mr. Dean?
Yes, please.
Okay. So in our packet, there's a legal notice of a public hearing pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 162K:4. The Exeter Select Board hereby gives notice that they will hold a public hearing of the proposed amendment to the existing Epping Road Tax Increment Financing TIF Plan as part of the Epping Road Tax Increment Financing TIF District, which was approved in 2015. Copies of the amended plan are available at the Town Clerk's Office, 10 Front Street, Exeter, New Hampshire. The hearing will be held on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, commencing at 7 p.m. at the Exeter Town Offices, 10 Front Street. Dated January 8th, 2025, Exeter Select Board. I think that satisfies that. Okay. Moving on to our final review of the FY25 budget and warrant articles. Thank you, Darren. Before we get to the warrant articles, I'd like to give the board an opportunity to speak to any budget suggestions, revisions, or questions they may have. I won't call out any names, but if anybody has something they want to.
No.
Okay.
I've been satisfied for quite a while with the budget.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Dean, we can jump into the town warrant. I don't think we need to go through all of them. I would ask first if there are any that the board would like to discuss, and then if the board is satisfied, Mr. Dean, you could hit some of the highlights. But one question I do want to ask you, where do you feel you're going to fit in the TIF amendment?
Right now, that would be Article, let me go to the back of the warrant. It would be Article 31. There is an Article 31 on the warrant, but you're going to be hearing tonight about that and whether or not it's needed.
Oh.
Okay. Are there any specific questions from the
I
board?
do have a specific question.
Sure.
In regard to what is currently numbered Article 24, the way the Budget Recommendation Committee set this up, we would only spend $30,000 if we got a $50,000 grant for the recycle foam equipment, the styrofoam recycling equipment. Should it be listed as an 80,000 item, or should it be listed as a 30,000? Because the max that we could spend is 30,000.
I think it needs to be 80,000, but I think Mr. Dean needs to add some wording to be specific on the 30,000. You have to have the full cost, but I don't think this, to your point, Mr. Chartrand, this is not specific to what the Budget Recommendations Committee recommended.
Yeah, I mean, it says to see if the town will raise and appropriate through special warrant article the sum of $80,000, but there's no way that we're going to do that. If the grant isn't approved, we're not going to.
Right, but the warrant article has to reflect the total cost of the project, and then the language has to have the breakdown of the granted 50, he needed to add the 30, and then, to your point, language needs to make it very clear to the voters that as it's worded, the appropriation will not take effect unless a grant is received.
So we need some language in there about
The
30,000 raised from unassigned fund balance.
So more language that indicates that the total cost of the project is expected to be $30,000 after the grant, after
from the
accounting for the
fund
grant.
balance. Yeah.
We can add that in.
Yeah, because it's not going to happen without the
Right.
grant.
I mean, isn't it
The
similar?
chair was correct in that it has to be gross appropriated. We have to show the total number and then show the revenue offsets.
We had several articles last year that were similar to that, right? Like Planet Playground was.
Correct. That was
But-
the gross number.
But it was clear that this was going to be the cost to the taxpayers after the grant.
Right.
This one's not clear.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't say if the grant fails.
It doesn't even mention the 30,000.
Right.
Can you also generate that in an email to the board so we can see that before Tuesday?
Yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for picking that up. Are there any other specific questions on any of the warrant articles from the board?
That was the only one that I caught.
I have a question which I may have missed because I missed a budget meeting, but I'm having trouble with the styrofoam machine recycling unit. I know we want to reduce our waste stream, and that's been a goal, and we've been working very hard at it. But then later on, we're raising funds for transfer station improvements. So where is the styrofoam thing going to go while we?
Well, I think some of those improvements would dovetail with the potential to create a space for the styrofoam recycling.
Okay.
So the two kind of work together in a way. They don't work against each other, definitely. At least not, that was kind of the way that Kristen envisioned this when it went into the CIP.
Okay, thanks.
Does that, having said I don't have any more questions, I am looking at the EV charging facility, and they may have a similar problem, Mr. Chair, as the styrofoam recycling had.
So that's 21.
Doesn't make clear how much will come from the unassigned fund balance.
All right, and we'll work on that.
Does that make sense, Mr. Dean?
What it does on All levels except for the fact that there are multiple grant programs involved.
Yeah.
And there may be
Understand
multiple
that.
amounts that come out of that.
But in the end, the voters need to know
Right.
how much they're,
How much the exact offset would be.
or how much they're voting to approve.
Correct.
They should be able to see a dollar amount.
Okay.
I understand now that the gross amount has to be reflected in the title. But, yeah, just to make it clear, this is what we're talking about, taking from the unassigned fund balance if all the grants come through that create the conditions for us to do that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Great.
From our experience, and this might help you out a little bit, and even the rest of the E-team, from our experience working the elections, these elections are usually pages and pages and pages and pages. And the voters spend a considerable amount of time considering each warrant article and taking the time to read them. Because they do take that time to do so, the easiest we can make it for them to understand what the article is saying while complying with the legal language will go a long way for our folks coming out to vote, if that makes any sense.
And often, the main question is, how much am I approving
Right.
from the taxpayers?
They want the bottom line number.
Okay, we'll have to work with Kristen Murphy, and we will do that to get the numbers associated with some of the other grant programs that are noted in the article.
Got it.
Mr. Dean, I'm going to bring it back to the board afterwards, but I know there were a couple articles you wanted to bring to our attention, so I'm going to ask you to do so now.
Sure.
Particularly the last one, Article 31.
Yes, so there are a couple of articles worth mentioning. They're all worth mentioning, but one that I would like to bring up with the board is the pickpocket dam removal article.
Could we start with 31?
Yes, we can start with 31, absolutely. So this is the expendable trust proposal. We received some advice on this article from legal counsel that discussed the notion of actually setting up an expendable trust and whether that was in our interest to do that. So, and I know Mr. Stevens has spent a lot of time with the committee and so forth and has some remarks prepared to address that particular issue.
Hello again.
Hello.
So I had been asked to meet with the Pearpoint Park Committee to talk about ways that they could raise donations towards the development of that project. And one of the things we talked about was setting up an expendable trust fund to house those funds, those donations as they come in. So we put together an article around that and shipped it off to legal counsel, who scrubs all of our articles before they go to you folks and then to the ballot, hopefully. And the feedback we got was that essentially an expendable trust fund at this point is overkill. In 1994, the town voted to allow you all to accept donations in the normal course of operations, and then take those funds that are donated and give them over to the trustee of trust funds to be held until such time as they're used for the intended purpose that the donor lays out. We need to do nothing more to receive donations at this time. We don't need an expendable trust fund in order to receive those funds. And in fact, unless the town were going to raise and appropriate its own funds through either taxation or fund balance toward a project, an expendable trust fund wouldn't be appropriate just for donations on their own. It'd be one thing if we said, yeah, we're going to set up an expendable trust fund and it's going to go on forever. We'll build this thing, and we'll maintain it. And in that instance, we could then say, okay, the town has money in an expendable trust fund, and the donations are in a separate fund, but under the expendable trust fund. But we're not contemplating that at this time. So, sorry for the long-windedness, but to come around to it, essentially, we have everything we need at this time without an Article 31 establishing an expendable trust fund to set the committee on its way with receiving donations. There'll be some administrative work behind the scenes to make sure it's done accurately and the donors know what they're giving to and we're able to spend it accordingly, but don't need a Article 31 at this time.
Well, that was pretty, you did a good job explaining that, because I did watch your meeting when you were meeting with them, so thank you. That covered everything for me.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion.
Can you just explain, though, and I know we're deviating a little bit from the warrant articles, but could you just explain for folks watching at home that may not watch the Pearpoint Park meetings, how, if they felt so compelled, could donate, and just what that process would be?
Yeah, so loosely speaking, because I think at this point, although I've communicated to Steve Jones, the chair of the committee, what we've come to understand, I would think that donors would donate directly to the town. We would collect those funds. We'd be very specific about, particularly, are you donating principal? Are you saying, can the principal be used? Can just the income be used? I would assume that we're going to want to be able to use principal and interest because this is a fairly short-term project, construct and develop, or develop and construct a park. I could envision perhaps the committee collecting several donations and then coming before the board, having that list and saying, these are the 25 people who donated, we're going to accept those in, be clear to the trustees who donated, what their intentions were, and how the money is to be used. So, and those are the loose mechanics. I would want to for sure get more counsel and then work with the committee to make sure it was set up administratively clear.
It seems clear to me.
It does to me, too. I just want to make sure the public understands it. So the trustee of the trust funds would be the one that would write the checks. It's not the committee itself. Yeah. I know. I'm just making sure that the public understands this, that the committee doesn't decide what to spend the money. They can make that decision, but it has to fall within a perimeter of allowable.
Right. The trustees of the trust funds, once the money is turned over, are the agents to expend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much clearer than I was trying to put it. Yeah. So thank you.
Can you tell I've done a little reading on this?
I know. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Dean, we can go back to Pickpocket Dam.
Sure. So the article is in the warrant for $2.1 million, and that is the current estimate that Public Works has provided to us for this project. It does not include the grants that would come in that would potentially offset the project. So we'll work on that language to note that a little bit more in that particular article to give an idea of what the grant amount might be.
And that's number 4 for people at home?
Number 4, Article 4, Pickpocket Dam removal.
And these article numbers may be subject to change before next Tuesday.
Correct.
Excuse me. And my recollection from the River Advisory meeting, as well as the public meeting that was held in December, is that there's at least 3 possible grants, if not 4.
Right.
And will those all be listed?
We'll identify them.
Okay, thank you.
So I wanted to call your attention to Articles 8, 9, and 10 because each of these articles require or are seeking authorization to use excess bond proceeds. And what excess bond proceeds are surpluses from other projects that the town has borrowed for but hasn't spent all the money. So the question is, what happens to those proceeds after the project closes out? And the answer is they become excess bond proceeds. So town meeting allows, by a 3/5 ballot vote, the ability to reassign those proceeds to a different project. And so we've proposed 3 different projects that are part of that process this year. One is Front Pine and Linden sewer drainage improvements. The second one is Clemson Lagoon cleaning and inspection. And the third one is the wastewater treatment facility effluent flume repair project. So you can see where the excess bond proceeds come from in the article. It's noted 2 of them are coming from the lagoon removal project that was done a few years back. And the other one is they're coming from the Salem Street project that was done also a few years back.
My comment to that is, I just want to say that this was presented to the Budget Recommendations Committee during the work that they did this fall, and they concurred with the use of, excuse me, just a few dollars short of $1 million here for these three projects. My recollection from deliberative session last year is that there was some confusion from folks as to why we were doing this, how we were doing this. So my request would be that next week, when we speak to these warrant articles, that we can communicate with folks that, number one, the Budget Recommendations Committee did concur with this, and also if you could explain the why and the how and the where. And then at deliberative session, we'll probably have to do the same. So I'd like to be prepared to be able to explain this as best we can to the public.
Okay. The other article of note I wanted to mention was the ADA accessible van for Parks and Recreation. That's a 5-year lease purchase. It's Article 20 in the current warrant. And you'll notice that we're only raising and appropriating $15,000. And the reason for that is because 50% of the funding for the project's coming from the Recreation Revolving Fund. And the balance is being raised and appropriated, or the amount that's coming out of the general fund is being raised and appropriated through the warrant article. Hopefully that's clear to people.
Well, we have a few shaking our heads.
Yeah.
We're not off to a good start there.
1,000, which,
So we did projections on principal and interest for each year of the 5-year lease purchase, and 15,000 was the first year number.
And then there'll be 4 subsequent payments.
Correct.
3 at 15,000 and 1 at 9,000.
Correct.
Something like that. So it's a total expenditure over 5 years of 69,000.
so for each year, we're going to put that on the warrant article?
No, we only
We
have
only
to,
need to do it this 1 year?
just this one
Yes,
year.
thank
Once it's
you.
approved once, it then,
I just want to make sure, because I wouldn't want to
It becomes-
get into that situation.
right, it
Yes.
becomes part of the budget subsequent to that.
Okay.
And I think that was all.
No, I'm still looking at this because, I mean, I know what it means, but,
We want to make sure the public in general, right?
because they're going to go through 19 warrant articles before they get to this. I mean, I understand it, but it could lead one to ask, are you asking for 120,000? Are you asking for $15,000?
And actually, what we're asking for is 69,000 over.
Because
5
of the,
years.
right, the revolving fund.
Which it does say.
It does. It's just trying to be clear.
Yeah.
And simplified.
You know, there's verbiage that we've used in the past that I can't, I'll have to look at an old warrant article that does this kind of thing where we talk about the full amount that we need to raise and appropriate, and then we have writing for, grant opportunities, et cetera. I don't remember getting into specific numbers for the grants because you don't know if you're going to get them or not.
I think one of the things that's different this year is that we're starting to be more creative about how we fund things. We're not asking the taxpayers to fund everything, but that makes the warrant more complicated.
Yeah.
So, and complicated is tough when you're a voter, looking at this maybe for the first time in the voting booth. So your concern, Mr. Chair, is understandable, but
It's 8 pages, and that's before you get to the school,
Right.
providing they do the town first.
right. So it's just, the complexity here is that we are trying to be more creative about not asking the taxpayers to pay for everything.
No, I think that's right, but I think to Selectwoman Gilman's point, we've done this before, this particular, where we've had half of it being funded by a revolving fund.
Yep. But more articles are like this than there
Yeah.
used to be.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with this.
No, again,
It's perfectly,
we're asking the
yeah.
taxpayers to pay for, to approve paying for less. So that's a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
But it is more complex when there are multiple funding sources in an article. And the title can be misleading because, as you pointed out, you have to put everything up front. So for those that are just reading the headline, it's like, oh, I'm approving $124,000 for an ADA accessible van for Parks and Rec, and maybe they don't drill down into the beyond the headline.
Maybe this is one, Mr. Dean, that maybe the executive team can take a peek and see if you can come up with something a little more creative.
Okay.
Maybe not, but
Or maybe less creative.
Well, one question comes to mind, and that is showing the 15,000 as the amount instead of the 120,000 in the title. But I'm not sure that could be done.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on your comments on the
you
On
the
the
ones that are
grants.
grant conditional,
Right.
it doesn't sound like that can happen.
Right.
Well, and maybe it's one you don't change, but it's worth considering a discussion
We'll
with your team.
it.
So in your explanation sheet that you put together, maybe, do a blurb about it?
Yes.
Something that way? Yeah?
In the
Yes.
explanatory
Yeah.
document that we
Yeah.
put out for town meeting, we can address that as well.
Were there any others, Mr. Dean, that you wanted to bring to our attention?
I think those were the major ones that I had, Mr. Chair.
Any other articles that the board wishes to get clarification?
When will we have this to review?
Sooner than later?
Yes, I should be able to have, working with the team, I should be able to have another copy to you by this Thursday, if that works for the board.
And our hearing is on Tuesday.
Hearing is on Tuesday.
So let's play this out for a second. We have a holiday on Monday. The town has a holiday on Monday. Is closed. If you get them to us Thursday, that's fine. But if we have any recommendations or changes, you don't want to shortchange yourself where you're not able to post this on Friday. So maybe Wednesday, I don't know if that's asking too much, but
We can discuss it. I think we'll work to get it to you.
I'm satisfied you can do it by Thursday, but I want to be able to give the board time to look at it. So we're talking about the styrofoam, we're talking about the EV, the ADA accessible van. I think those were the three.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're going to get us there's four. You're going to get us the TIF.
The TIF article.
The TIF article, so that we can look at that. All right. So those are our next steps there. If we could get those maybe by Wednesday afternoon, then the board can get those back to you early Friday, so that if you have to make any changes,
Okay.
you can do so and be able to post these on Friday afternoon.
Is that the deadline, Friday?
Yes, because of the holiday Monday.
Are there any citizens petitions that have come in?
Tomorrow's the closing final day, right?
Right.
Do you have any yet?
I do not have any in my possession, so.
Okay.
I know there's been,
Five.
there's folks that are
Yeah.
talking about it.
I have not received any from the town clerk as of yet either,
Got it.
so
And the deadline is tomorrow at 5?
tomorrow at 5.
Okay. Great.
Okay. And obviously,
You'll let us know?
Yes.
there's
Let
no
you know.
changing a citizen's petition
No.
by us.
Right.
Can change,
It goes
right.
on the warrant as it's submitted.
Right.
Well, you can change the number at the deliberative session.
Right. But we can't, we don't, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that subject matter question, when you get to deliberative session, whether you can change the subject matter and by how much, and it's a moderator interpretation at that point.
Okay.
30% tax cap. So you'll let us know on that as well, once you hear from the town clerk?
Yes, on the petition
All right.
articles, yes.
So the board can expect that, and then 4 revised articles on Wednesday, and we'll turn those back around to you by Friday morning.
That
And
sounds
then
good.
you can, is that fair to the board?
It is.
Okay.
Could I ask a question that I think
Yeah,
I
one-
missed the window?
1 second.
Sure.
I'm sorry, just before I lose my train of thought, back to the warrant articles, I had a conversation with the town moderator today, and consistent with last year, she suggested that the board not feel compelled to have to speak to every article. We agreed that we would speak to all of the bond articles, that Mr. Dean would speak to the budget, water, sewer, and then if there are any that the board wants to speak to, like I'm sure Selectwoman Gilman, you'll want to talk about the, I was going to have you say that. But the big ticket ones, so if we could start thinking about ones we want to split up and talk about, we can maybe work that out next Tuesday. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Selectwoman Belanger.
Yeah, and I think you had asked earlier, and I didn't bring this up. And it's just an FYI, when I was looking at the MS, the 2025 legal fees, this is something that I brought it up before, and it's through no fault of the Budget Recommendation Committee. They don't have a clear understanding like we would of upcoming things. And we had increased it to 100,000, and so far, as of December 31st, we're over by 6,000, and we can leave it as, I know it'll get paid, but I just wanted us to keep in mind that if our legal expenditures are going up, and they vary year to year, but, to consider
I agree.
increasing that to maybe 110 or whatever, if it's not this year, next year.
Yeah, I think this year's legal fees, legal budget was influenced by the collective bargaining agreements. We had Labor Council representing the town at all of the sessions, including writing up tentative agreements and things like that, so.
Right, so
I don't have an exact figure of how much that was.
And
but
I was going
it
to say, I don't have that information to know how to parse that out, but we know that we have some other things
Yeah.
in 2025. So I just want to keep
Just-
an eye on that.
Order of magnitude, the Labor Council costs were probably anywhere between 12 and 15,000.
And we still have a little bit maybe to pay on that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just an FYI.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I think the legal costs have been increasing.
For one reason
Annually,
or
right?
another.
6,000's not too bad a miss, though.
No?
No, but we're not, that didn't encompass everything. There's still some outstanding. So it was just,
And it previously
it has to
was
come from
80,000,
somewhere.
correct?
80,000,
Yeah,
yes, historically.
we moved it up a couple years ago to 100,
Yeah.
so.
so, anyway.
And, hourly rates are going up too, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Right.
So I think, back to the warrant, we'll have somebody speak to Article 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Mr. Dean, I think certainly we'll have you available for 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 14, probably the collective bargaining agreements. And then, bless you, I think the others, other than the ADA van and the EV charging, pretty straightforward, bless you, except for the one you want to, and the styrofoam. So if the board wants to take a look at these, and then on Tuesday we can, and
Yeah.
I'll get a list to the moderator. It makes her life a lot easier if we can get that information to her ahead of time. It's choreographed a little bit smoother.
I'm sorry, so I just want to make sure, the the current number 20.
Bless you.
The ADA, were we going to talk about that or no?
I think we should, yeah.
Okay. Yes, because I've already got some stuff started on that, so.
I think we should. It generated a lot of discussion at the Budget
It really
Recommendations
did.
Committee, and
And it's been talked a lot about at Parks and Rec, the Recreation
Yep.
Advisory Board. So,
and it may be confusing, the wording, we don't know yet.
right.
So,
I can talk about the history of it. I just, the way this is written,
Yeah,
I'd be looking at Russ to talk about this part.
okay. Anything
Yeah.
else? Are we good? Okay. All right, Mr. Dean, we'll look forward to getting those.
Oh,
Go, please. Yeah.
you might want to include the TIF article on for explanation.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's a
Okay.
good
Yep.
call.
Yeah. Thank
Are
you.
you volunteering?
Maybe. If no one else wants to do it.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, that's old.
All right. Moving into regular business, we don't have any abatements, credits, or exemptions, permits, and approvals this evening. So, Mr. Dean, I will turn it over to you, please.
Sure. Just to let the board know, we've had a evaluation of the November wildfire. There was a state meeting review on that, and they provided very positive feedback to our fire department and their incident command. So I wanted to recognize them and thank them for all of their efforts on that. That was not as we know, that was not an event that happens frequently, and it required some specialized training and response to that particular event. So that was a good response by the town, and good to be appreciated by the state in their review of our efforts on that. I forwarded a story by the union leader who wrote a story about one of our captains in the fire department, Drew Martin, who had some experience out in the California wildfires. Hopefully the board was able to receive that. And again, just wanted to acknowledge Drew and his efforts, and also recognize him for the fine capabilities he brings to the department. Very much appreciated. We did talk about the E91 meeting place numbering issue, and that is something that we're going to plan on bringing back to the board after the March elections. So if you've been thinking about that at all, that was where we put that on the calendar.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. And we have hired a new dispatcher. Her name is Melissa Eckerson. She started today, I believe, over in dispatch. So we're filling those dispatch slots, which is good to hear. There was a secure campus situation at Exeter High School last week. That is all set now. That was a student situation, and our police department responded, as they always do, very well to that situation. So wanted to recognize them as well. Parks and Rec had their senior luncheon on Friday, another successful event with many people attending, so thank you to Parks and Rec for working on that. And the Highway Department picked up Christmas trees last week, and if you didn't get your tree picked up, please let us know. I know that there were a couple of people online that mentioned that they were missed, and the intent is that we get those, so we'll take calls, and if that needs to be done, we can do it. The Sportsman's Club, an update on that. Dave Sharples, the town planner, and I talked with DES online the other day. DES is going to come to the town, and we're going to have a joint meeting between the town representatives, the Sportsman's Club, and DES. So that should be happening probably next month.
Okay.
And we signed an MOU with UNH for business retention program and economic development. There was a housing advisory committee meeting I attended on Friday of last week where we talked about short-term rentals. I know Selectwoman Belanger will fill in on that. And I believe that's all I had, unless there are questions for me.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Dean?
Can you explain the UNH topic?
The business retention program.
Yeah.
So it's a contract with the UNH Cooperative Extension to create a business retention and expansion program within the town. So that is being done through economic development, a cooperative partnership between our economic development office and their economic development office.
Okay.
Thank you. Select Board Committee reports. Selectwoman Belanger.
So I had a planning board meeting Thursday night, but we actually had a site walk that morning for 76 Portsmouth Ave. Very well attended site walk, very cold, but very well attended. And I believe the 76 Portsmouth Ave application is tentatively scheduled for next Thursday. So, and the only discussion that Thursday night was a short-term rental language, a proposed zoning change, and after a lot of discussion, they decided to recommend to put it on the warrant article as written, and let the voters decide if they're interested in that.
Okay.
So it's in 2 districts, and it's, sorry, I just lost it, of course. C1, Central Area Commercial, and WC, the Waterfront Commercial Zoning Districts. So I did speak with Melissa about putting some language in the explanation sheet to show, or somehow deter, so people can see where that is. Not everyone knows
Right.
the beginning and ends of those districts, and it's not really, you can't see the street names on our zoning map, so. And then on the Housing Advisory Committee, we tabled any further discussion until May of 2025 for 79E. And that was for the town manager's input. He suggested that date, that month, our May meeting. And that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Selectwoman Gilman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had an Energy Committee meeting that I had missed because I was sitting up at the House getting the mandatory anti-harassment behavior thing.
Good to do.
It is. The room was not full, I have to say. And then, but being the Energy Committee, I have to remind everybody about the community build for the window dressers. It's coming up the following weekend after next. So that'll be the 17th through the 22nd at the town hall. And I have Heritage Commission meeting coming up to Wednesday at 10:30 at the Historical Society. We're going to talk a little bit about swapping information, et cetera, working together.
Good.
Because people already think we do. So, and then I'll go to the
Thank you.
Exemptions Committee meeting, which is perfect timing because today we heard 2 exemption bills at the State House that are, in my opinion, are not going to go anywhere. But
And what was the legislation?
I can't remember the numbers, but the one was an elderly exemption that's much like what we already have. Only the only guardrails on it where that person is 72, has lived in New Hampshire for 10 years, and has owned their property for 3 years.
No income.
No income, no means.
Wow.
And it's in the same paragraph with something that has the exact same name, and that's the one that specifies the age ranges and the income levels and assets. So, can you get both? It wasn't really clear. And the other one was a disability, disabled vets credit that was for 100% disabled veterans, that they be exempted or credited from $701 up to 100% of their property tax liability. And there's no way, the fellow from the Department of Revenue Administration came and said there's no way we can do 100% of anybody's property. It changes every year. It changes every month.
We are not going to have any money from this state.
I know.
Oh my God.
And we spend like drunken sailors, according to the governor.
I know. I did pick up on that during her. She said to remind all of the local leaders to rein it in on spending, and I found that
offensive,
frankly. And I also think when the state isn't willing to collect revenue and isn't willing to partner with the federal government and doesn't take advantage of all of the programs that are available and doesn't put money into counting an accurate census. I mean, the state is leaving money on the table. We are not spending recklessly. We have kept the revenue and the taxes and the tax rate exceptionally level. And it is so offensive to say that we are spending
I'm concerned about
Yeah.
what
It is-
opportunities for funding we're going to have in the very near future.
Yeah,
Or lack thereof.
I am also very concerned about that.
So that's my report.
That's your,
There's my report.
Thank you all for that report. Well said. Selectwoman Cowan?
I have nothing.
Selectman Chartran?
I did meet with the Sustainability Advisory Committee on Wednesday, the 8th, Wednesday evening, the 8th, last week. The good news is we had almost every full member there, as well as all the alternates. I think we were missing one person.
I watched it. It was good to see it full.
Yeah, it's a great group, and I'm very grateful to everyone that stepped forward recently to fill out the roster of the Sustainability Advisory Committee and the alternate spots that we've created. The most notable thing that happened at the meeting was that our current chair, Chris Zigmont, needs to step away as chair, and he informed the SAC of that. He's picked up a great new job, and he wants to continue to serve as a member, but does not want to continue as chair. So we will be working, the committee will be working to identify someone to lead us going forward, and hopefully we'll have a replacement in February, at our February meeting.
Well, I'm happy for him. He did an absolutely great job chairing, so that will be a bit of a loss, but obviously happy for him and his professional career. But I think, to your point, there is no shortage of talent on the committee, and I'm sure that whoever steps up will do an exceptional job.
Yeah. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I did not have any committee meetings. My work is this week. I've got Swayze Park trustees on Wednesday, Pierpoint Park on Thursday, and tomorrow, town manager, assistant town manager, and I have accepted an invitation to go to Riverwoods to meet with folks out there and give a quick presentation of what we've been doing for the last year and take their questions. So we're looking forward to that.
This has become an annual thing.
Yeah,
And
it's fun.
I'm glad you do it.
It's fun, and we usually get a packed room, and the questions are very good. So, okay, moving to the board calendar. The next meeting is next Tuesday, the 21st. That's the budget hearing, budget and bond hearing. We meet again on February 3rd, February 18th, which is a Tuesday.
I better just make sure these are on my calendar.
That's why I was going slow.
You're very smart. Okay, so, sorry, keep going.
121,
121,
23,
select board is not on my calendar. Select board, 2, 3, on my calendar.
218,
218 on my calendar.
and March 3rd.
March 3rd on my calendar.
Okay, and then the next meeting after that would be March 17th after the election.
Select.
We'll stop there.
Yep.
And
It is St. Patrick's Day.
Is that a holiday? I mean, of course it's a holiday.
We're
I'll wear this.
we're
I was
all
going to say, you're already ready for it.
And other dates of note, the deliberative session, of course, is February 1st at 9 a.m. at the Exeter High School Auditorium.
That's also on my calendar.
Good.
Look at this. Wow.
And then March 11th is the election from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Tuck Auditorium.
I am going to block that whole day on my calendar.
Yes.
Not take any meetings. That is also, my son was just cast in the middle school production of Game of Tiaras, which is modeled off of Game of Thrones, but for middle schoolers, I'm told.
Okay.
Cool.
And they are excellent productions. If folks are interested, the middle school here does excellent productions.
That's
They're
wonderful.
not playing it on March 11th though, right?
No,
Oh, good.
It's
gonna say,
it's the next week, but it's
Oh.
tech rehearsal.
Okay.
So
Fun. I'm so glad. That'll be fun for him.
that'll be fun.
All right.
Those are all my announcements.
So with that, we don't have any other business to discuss this evening. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you and good evening, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV.
What school is he in? I forgot
Exeter
what
TV
school- what
is the
grade he's
town's
in.
public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.